Well, it's 2022, and I'll probably get used to saying that right around the time we get to 2023.
Well, yesterday I had soup for breakfast and cereal for lunch. I was obviously wearing my crazy pants.
Well, the other night I crushed up some Cheez-Its into scrambled eggs, and I called that dinner.
I'd like to see the pandemic go away, but can we please just keep wearing the comfy pants?
Always and forever. Have such a good day. Hello, world, and welcome back to Have Such a Good Day, the show that wants you to do just that.
Yeah.
Sunday.
130. It's a new year and a new you. Are we feeling optimistic of this exciting new year full of boosters and possibilities? I am.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling extra Pollyannish. What can I say?
How are you, Heather?
I am.
How are you? That's Heather Frank, by the way. I'm sorry. Hello.
That's us.
That's us.
Welcome to the show that unpacks the absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment.
We hope you're entertained.
You gotta laugh so you don't cry.
It has been, the closing out 2021 was non-eventful for me over at the Lane residence. I didn't go anywhere, went to bed before midnight, not too far before midnight. I kind of stayed up a little later than normal. But that said, even though nothing kind of happened, the closing the chapter on 2021, no matter what the future brings, gave me great joy.
Oh, absolutely. There's like a breath of fresh air, like literally, like the calendar turns over. You can throw away your old calendar, put it behind you.
And isn't it funny how we as humans fixate on numbers?
Totally.
Myself included. So it's like, the new year, it's an arbitrary number. Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It's just the way that we have decided that we're going to, calculate how time passes. It doesn't mean anything, but it's important to a lot of folks. The same way a 50th anniversary of something is really important. It's more important than 40. Why? Well, just because we're numbers people.
It's just because we said so.
But it's just funny the way that we have decided certain numbers become milestones.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's like we're like, oh, I feel a breath of fresh air because this new thing happened, but it really didn't. It's just another day.
It's all in your head.
It is all in your head.
But you can make it work for you.
I agree.
I'm not a huge resolution person, Heather.
I'm not either.
I always kind of have, there are improvements I'd like to make on myself all the time.
Yeah.
And certainly at the end of the year, there's some reflection that happens maybe that I'm not having in August.
Yeah.
And some ideas of I'd like to pursue this a little bit harder or,
Sure.
I don't know.
You have aspirations.
Sure. And it's always fun. I've been listening to so many podcasts, as I always do, and, lots of year-end stuff.
Sure.
It's a common theme on the podcast that I listen to, and resolutions had been a big sort of thread going on with everybody. And it's just interesting to hear what people want to do better.
Totally. And I like that, and I want to discuss this later on in the show, so I don't want to steal my own thunder, but I do like I like that kind of overly optimistic attitude that we always have every year, round and round. It's like, what else are you going to do? Be negative about it. You kind of have to. You don't really have a choice but to forge on, and I appreciate that. I don't do resolutions either, but I think, again, I'm an optimistic person and I try really hard to lean into the good stuff. I'm more or less perfect, Sarah, except for my crooked teeth. So I don't really have all that much to work on.
Sure. Yeah. No, you've been very lucky.
I was blessed. Definitely hashtag blessed.
Imagine having to make lots of changes to yourself.
Well, I have my parents to thank for that.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah.
True.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yeah. Well, I sometimes, holidays especially, and I know a lot of you listening, because we talk about it in Discord, feel the same way. We're all just discombobulated. What day is it?
The word.
do I take the yoga pants off or not?
Never.
You know, all of those things. And I feel like when we did our Heather and I did a special about kind of our Airbnb vacation rental Verbo etc. lives, and you know, you guys kind of seem to like it. And you know, I keep saying over and over, like, there's certain stories that I feel bad about telling because it's just very personal. You know, like to the family that was here. Like, I just, you know, I'm not trying to blow up anybody's spot too much. However, I feel like this is
But I have to vent.
This is, well, it's not even venting, honestly. Like, there's no anger or frustration on my part at all.
It's a discussion.
It's a mystery, Heather. It is a mystery.
Oh,
so,
I like a good mystery.
yeah, so we
tell.
had these guests that were here for Christmas and New Year's. Full 14 nights, long stay. You know, that's a couple of weeks over the holidays. So it's like, I figured, well, this is a special occasion of some kind, right? And there was, you know, of course, as there always is, pool issues. Talked about this on a recent show. And heat issues and propane issues and all the issues, just standard stuff. Nothing I can really say like was like a meltdown, but like part of that happened over Christmas Day, you know, and I was kind of just like in my underwear at my mom's house being like, I'm not dealing with shit. And sure enough, that was not the case, you know, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, things were worked out and everything seemed fine. And they were booked through January 2nd. So I was like, okay, you know, you're going to have New Year's Day, you're going to chill, you know, have another night, good work, you know, and then you'll leave the next day. And before New Year's Eve, they vanished.
Oh, no.
Now, having a couple cars drive out of the driveway and go wherever they're going for a few hours or even the whole day, not that big a deal. I mean, people can go do other things. That's fine. But they just never came back. You know, so the next morning I was kind of like, that's been about 24 hours. Okay. I mean, you obviously slept somewhere else and you can do that if you want. I don't care. That's your biz. But like, you know, mildly concerned. And there were a lot of things that were also left on around the property. Like there's heating
Like, as if they were
lamps.
coming back.
Yeah, the spa jets, like certain things where you're
Weird.
like, oh, somebody's coming back.
That
kinda
is
thing.
weird to leave the spa jets on if you're not in it.
Well, because
I mean,
they're not on timers. You got to turn off the button. But anyway, so I'm sort of like, okay, just take a note. And then finally, by that night, I was like borderline concerned because some of the lights on. Oh, also, they had closed every shade in both of the houses that are for rent, which is like 45 windows. I mean, it like takes a lot of effort to actually close every single shade. So I was like, and there were a couple of lights on inside, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just go in and make sure we don't have an issue in here. You know, it's like, hello, anyone here? No one was there. They just left early. But why? You know,
like you may never know.
I mean, I could ask.
You could say, hey, I saw that you guys, you know, left. Is everything okay? Just to check on them. I mean, that would be a nice thing to do, but.
Well, and I plan to, you know, I just kind of figured like I would give them a couple days to sort of clue me in type thing.
Sure.
Because there's also like just kind of stuff where you're like, well, you made the bed, but are those clean sheets or those sheets that you slept in? Because we got to strip the bed. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's lots of things that go into somebody checking out that you'd kind of like to know about. I don't know. As of this recording, I do not know what happened to the mystery disappearing guests.
Well, this is exciting. I mean, because you and I both.
It's
like
a
to
Nancy Drew book.
Oh, it's a total sleuthing adventure. I mean, I want to know. I think if you don't hear from them, I think you should follow up because
Just to make sure everyone's fine.
Do it for me, Sarah. I want to know.
Small detail, by the way, if someone's like, hey, Sarah, I mean, something terrible might have happened. Just a detail, an important one. I saw everybody that morning that the cars all drove away, kind of like hugging, saying goodbye, Happy New Year, blah, blah, blah. Like, it didn't seem like an emergency at all. I think they just left.
That's so creepy. I feel like this is like a good thriller movie script. You know, like what happened to the New Year's Eve guests? So they didn't. So they left on New Year's on the
Eve.
31st or New Year's Eve. So they.
Yeah,
I
but it
gonna
was
say,
that it was like early that morning. So I was kind of, I mean, it's like if you book it through New Year's Eve, I assume you would stay here. But
Yeah.
did not happen. And again, doesn't matter to me, long as everybody's fine. You pay, you leave when you want. Doesn't matter. But I don't know. I just feel like there's another piece of this puzzle. So we'll see.
Yeah, I love a good puzzle. I mean, any kind of puzzle, from a jigsaw puzzle to some kind of detective work. I'm into this. I'm into this, Sarah. In fact, I had a friend who, a very close friend from France, actually, who lost track of her sister. This was like a year ago, and she just disappeared. No joke. They were like really close when they were kids, and I like babysat her sister. Like I knew her very well, when she was young, and it was just a huge mystery. Like, where did she go? For years, nobody heard from her. And
Wow,
yeah, and my
years?
French friend literally signed up to become an FBI agent just so she could track her down. And she went through, no, I'm not kidding. She passed the first couple exams. She went through the physical exam and then kind of dropped it because she actually emerged. Like her sister like reemerged like this year. And it was this, and I was actually doing research for her. I was like trying to delve into this for her to help track her down. It was so fun. And that's what made me think of being a detective.
You don't have to, you don't have to tell us details that are, personal, but like, was there like a great reason for the disappearance?
Yes, there was.
Okay.
It was like it's pretty complex of a story, but there was like a family dynamic, and there was some person who swayed her in like this other direction away from her family kind of thing. Like she was not like indoctrinated, but maybe a little bit. Maybe that's part of it. But
man.
Fascinating. And I was like, well, I want to be an FBI agent. I was like considering it. And I'm like, oh man, I'm too old because they don't accept
That's also
people.
like, that's a very dramatic way to go. Like one would think that you would like hire a private investigator.
Well, granted,
not join the FBI.
Sure. Well, granted, there's more to it because she was in like a career change in her life. And she was in this one business, and she was like really considering, she was in kind of like a shaky business that I think this was like pre-pandemic, right before the pandemic, and she was having a hard time finding a job. And so she was like, you know what? I think I'm going to just go this route and study to become an FBI agent. Anyway, Sarah, I have to tell you that I have taken
that story is going to stick with me today. But okay.
I know it's a good
Go
one,
on.
and I'll tell you more offline. But I have taken the yoga pants to another level. It's hard to resist a good sort of new pair of yoga pants. It's kind of like getting a new pair of jeans where you just feel like a new person when you wear them for the first time.
Yeah.
But they're always making, it pisses me off because they're always upgrading the yoga pant like material, and it's like it evolves like anything, right? It's like it gets better over time. And so every time I'm like, I have enough yoga pants, I'm good. Like I'm not going to get any more. Like I'm good. I can't even fit them in my drawers anymore. But then they come out with some amazing new texture that's like it's like it transforms them into like a totally
Is the
different kind
texture
of yoga
called
pant.
marketing?
No,
I mean,
no, it's not. It's
come
not
on.
like, well, there's like the Christmas marketing.
It's actually like better.
Oh my God, Sarah.
You would only
seriously,
know that
you
it was
love them.
better if you were buying all the yoga pants.
No, I
Heather.
touched them. The problem is that this yoga studio I go to, they actually sell, like they sell a small amount of good brands. And like she got like this new kind of line in, before the holiday. And I don't jump on all these marketing. Like I don't like the velvet thing. There was like this whole velvet yoga pant thing that I did not jump on that train. That's weird to sweat in
I mean,
velvet.
I have
don't
a
know.
velvet pajama set, but not.
Sure.
I wouldn't take that to yoga.
Yeah, I don't want to sweat in velvet. Who wants to do that? Anyway, it's a thermal texture, but they're fitted. I'll have to show you offline. They're really dope. I'm wearing them right now. But anyways, I digress. So we were talking about the New Year's Day feeling, that breath of fresh new air, embracing this new year, this new calendar year, new potential new life, new chapter. I'm embracing the wise words of our patron PPE, who said to me that I should forge on. So PPE, it's a new year and I am forging on.
Gotta forge on. Yeah.
You got to do it.
What else are you going to do?
And it's like you were talking about how like humans, we make this calendar, we've created this sort of like, it's kind of like our little faux world. And, we have to have some kind of like dating system.
I mean,
and
it
time
works in a
system.
lot
It's
of
fine.
ways.
It does. It works for our little bubble. But like every year it's the same tune, like with us humans. It's like, this year's going to be great. I can just feel it. I just really feel it in my bones. It's going to be a good year. And my mom used to say that a lot. She would, I've been holding on to my crystals and it's going to be such a great year. You just wait and see. And then it's like rinse and repeat every year. And by the end of each year, we're like, this year, just make this year end. And then like the new year rolls around again. And then we have this like another, like that Pollyannish attitude, like, we're so predictable. I just think it's funny how we go round and round every year. And I'm guilty of it. I am so guilty of it. In fact,
well, because you forget the pain and you remember the good times.
You do forget the pain. Exactly. That's biology. Like our brains.
Otherwise, everyone would just be a lot more depressed.
100%.
And some people still are. But like that's, they say that about childbirth. It's like you just forget how horrible it was.
So then you have another kid and you're like, why did I do that?
Right. Yeah.
It's really weird that the brain does that, but that's a story for another day. But like, I am totally guilty of this Pollyannish attitude. By the way, the word Pollyannish is bizarre because it has 2 L's and 2 N's in it. And when I was like writing scripts today, I think it's a cool word. I've actually always liked the word, but it's like marking it as it's a spelling error in my document, and it's pissing me off because it's spelled correctly.
Anyway, you can save it.
I know you can also ignore it
as a custom word,
sure,
and just be like, don't bother me again. This is the word.
Stop underlining my shit. Anyway, but I think it's interesting because my dad used to call me Pollyannish and like dreamer. Like, I mean, there's a lot more positive words. I feel like Pollyannish can have a negative connotation, because it's kind of like you are sort of endlessly like being
it's a little bit like head in the
person.
sand type of thing.
Totally.
Like optimistic to a fault.
Yeah. And I don't know, like I would say that, and I don't know everybody else's perception, like my good friends or whatever. I would say some of my friends would definitely say that I'm optimistic. You've said that, but I don't want to be one of those overly positive, annoying people, so
I don't think you are, Heather. I don't think you're negative either, but I think you're a well-balanced individual.
Okay, good. See, I'm almost perfect. I told you, Sarah. I told you.
I'm trying to think of somebody I know who I would actually say is Pollyannish. Like legit. You might not really be reading enough news. I don't know. I know
somebody that is.
Say anyone's name, but like I can't think of anybody that I feel like is like maybe, losing
I actually
the
know
script
someone
a
who
little bit.
is, and I like love her for it. And the thing is how can you be mad about someone trying not to be jaded about
just
everything?
To be happy? Like goal
I'm
to be
so
happy
mad at
every
you.
day.
Like, I hate you. But seriously, I'm giving into my Pollyannishness, if that's even a word.
It is now.
My thing is, not a resolution person. However, every year I kind of have the same thing. It's like that I want to slightly uptick things in me that I like, but that I know can be improved. For example, I want to write and read more. My boyfriend gives me grief for this because I have this ritual in the morning. I get up pretty early. I get up by 7 and, often 6. And I turn on my little Bluetooth radio. I listen to the news. I turn on my computer, I, chat with you, I chat with whoever I'm chatting with in the morning, European friends and that kind of thing. And I dive right in. I dive right into my work. And he goes, you should, I have a lot of ideas. I'm always talking to him about these ideas I have, but then I don't sit down and do them. I mean, other than doing the show, but I've been doing this ongoing document that's a bunch of writing just about stuff, just about this year, about life, about aging, about whatever it is, my sister. And the couple days this week, I've already stopped doing it. And January 3rd?
Was the resolution to like journal every day type thing?
No, it wasn't even a resolution. It was just kind of like, my boyfriend's like, it's a muscle. You just have to work it. And it's so true.
And that's very true. That is
is.
true, especially for writing.
And I'm not that disciplined. It's like I write. It's not that I don't write, but I want to write more. And I have these ideas for these screenplays and these books and these things that I think are good ideas. I'm just terrible about sitting down with a blank piece of paper and writing it. And so that is seriously like a huge like life goal of mine, is to write something that is actually somewhat complete, that I could do
Yeah.
something with it. You know, it's like, sure, I can write here and there, and I've got tons of documents with tons of stuff. I mean, that's how I made my first movie. Was I had an old notebook, and I had all these little quotes, like lines of dialogue that I thought would be funny, you know, just random things. And I turned it into a character in like our little movie that we did. And so I know that stuff will come in handy, but I'm going to make a valiant effort to flex this muscle. But I would like to know how y'all feel about this new year. Are you jaded AF? Are you Pollyannish like moi? Email us at hi@havesuchagagoodday.com.
Please do. Please do. I mean, you don't get a better plug than that. No, that's cool, Heath. I'm glad you're doing that. I'm with you that I like writing. Writing is a commitment.
Yeah.
I'm really good at being like, I just don't have 15 minutes today
Yeah, no,
to
totally.
do this. Even though I always do. It's just it's time management, right?
Sure.
It's not rocket science. But you get into a routine and you're just like, I don't know. I don't do that anymore. I've been doing that a lot with just reading fiction.
Yeah.
I love fiction. I like nonfiction too, but just getting lost in a book
Oh,
about
it's the best.
it really is, you know, and,
really is
and
the
like
best
where
feeling.
you're just sort of like, do I have an extra hour? I want to like read a couple chapters.
Yeah, totally.
That feeling, like I love that feeling, and I just abandoned it for
Yeah.
decades.
That is such a
honestly.
muscle too.
Without like, I mean, vacation aside, you know, where I'd be like, bring a couple books, it's gonna be so fun, just gonna hang out and read. It wasn't really part of my daily life at all for a long time. You know, I would just get tired reading articles online, and I was still reading, but I wasn't reading like the fun stuff that like brings me a lot of joy. So that is not really a resolution. I've been trying to do this for
I
the
think
last
that's
couple
great,
of
though.
months. But yeah, like every night it's like, have a cup of tea.
Drink-
Okay, everybody good. Let's get the jammies on, and then let's read for a while.
And then let's read one page and fall asleep.
That does happen sometimes. There have been other times though where like this is like always a mark of a good book, you know, where you're just like, shit, it's really late.
I know.
One more chapter, because you really want to know how it ends.
Exactly. And the thing is like, oh man, seriously, that's one of my favorite things in the world, is like getting lost in some kind of narrative. It's the best. So we have to,
It is.
let's
Books, movies, TV shows.
let's
I mean,
talk
you know.
offline about the books you're reading, because I want to know.
Yeah, let's. I would talk about all the television shows I'm also watching, but we'll save that for the next step. Okay,
Sure.
because we have other things to talk
Plenty of
about,
time.
such as the weather.
yeah.
Heather and I have, you know, been lamenting the sort of winter weather that we've both had. I think yours has been a little bit more dramatic than mine, but lots of rain.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of rain in, you know, on the West Coast, California in particular. And that's not really the point that I'm making, because you could know that just by looking at any sort of weather app. But we have gotten down to the point where I live where it's been frosty the last couple of mornings, meaning that it goes below 32 degrees, you know, and usually there's not a lot of precipitation because that actually makes things warmer. It's more of just like that crisp, you know, beautiful blue sky day, but cold as heck.
Yeah.
And I love those days.
Me too.
They're like in my mind, I'm like, ooh, if I was like a good like watercolorist, like I would try to paint the like the colors that I see right now. Like it's hard
Yeah.
to describe.
It is.
'Cause
I know
winter
what you're
is
talking
like,
about.
yeah, like
There's a
winter-
paleness.
yeah, and like I don't know. It's like it's never really more clear than it is this time of year, even though it's my least favorite look. I mean, pine trees and evergreen trees, it's not like I'm not surrounded by a lot of green. I very much am. But there's other trees that are they're dormant, like see you in March.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me sad a little bit.
Yes, me
But yeah. And so I know many of you live in much colder climates, or at least climates that dip down below 29 degrees Fahrenheit. But that's pretty cold for around here. And, you adapt. And since I moved in, which was over 2 years ago now, to my current, my little wood cabin, I've got this like old, I've had it forever, North Face, like very thick ski jacket that was like in the back of the closet. Like I haven't been skiing in quite some time, just wasn't a thing that I pulled out. And I really don't know why. Because the other day it was just really cold and I had to walk Otis and it was just frost everywhere and just like, ooh. And I was like, maybe I'll just put on the North Face. And it has totally transformed my life. Because otherwise I was kind of like doing like, you got the t-shirt layer, sweatshirt layer, and then like windbreaker kind of thing. And if it's raining, something with a hood.
Yeah.
But
it's never warm enough in the winter. It's not.
No. Like you actually need to be like Gore-Texed out.
Yeah, totally. I think it's San Francisco in us because there's like a layering that we're so used to that like, yeah, I experienced the same thing. Like being in a place like this, you need a thick, puffy jacket. You just do.
Yeah. And it like for example, I took Otis the dog on a long walk yesterday. It was nice. It was going to rain today and I knew it. So I was like, okay, we're doing our long walk. And it was cold, really, really cold. And if I wasn't wearing, again, my North Face jacket, not a sponsor, by the way. If I would have had to jog kind of the whole time. It was that cold. You know what I mean? Like where you're like, I got to get the heart rate up so that like, I stopped being so cold because this isn't really fun. But yeah, with the right gear, y'all, you can make it work. I know one of you was just bragging about how this is in our Discord, how low the temps were getting in I think it was called the Canadian Plains. Oh, that's real cold. So I know I'm a baby right now. Everything about what I'm saying is just like, Sarah, you're a baby. You can't handle life. But it's just, I don't know. There's something very satisfying about being like, oh, this is the jacket I should have just worn like the whole time. And now I'm like actually like loving being outside. I'm not cold anymore.
Totally. God, that really reminds me of, you learn these hard lessons in life, Sarah. And I remember I went to Czechoslovakia and it was, I don't know why. I go to Europe. Yeah, exactly. I go to Europe in the winter a lot. I don't know what's wrong with me, but there's many times that I recall being freezing in Europe. One of those times was in Prague, and I was taking a lot of photographs. I remember I had a nice camera, and I was like, I was on vacation, and I bought myself a cute striped hoodie. I may have talked about this on the show, and it was literally 30 some degrees. I don't know what the Celsius was, but according to Fahrenheit, it was very cold. There was like frost on the ground, and it was like March that I went. So it was really cold, thinking that it was like early spring and that I would only need a spring hoodie.
Yeah.
I
Flowers
didn't even bring a jacket.
out.
Yeah. I remember every morning, Sarah, being like, I was so jet lagged, and I would go outside, start taking photographs early with my thin hoodie that I thought was like such a brilliant idea that would keep me warm in this, or it was like, I guess like a very early spring, very cold European. I don't know what I was thinking.
Totally know what you were thinking either. Like no coat, no coat at all.
What is wrong with me?
Gotta have a coat.
Or like a jean jacket. You're like, oh, I'll be fine. Even my
no.
boyfriend does the same thing. He'll wear a hoodie and a jean jacket even now when it's like raining. And I'm like, yo, bro, like put that Gore-Tex on.
See, I love a good jean jacket. I have several. But if it's cold in a certain way, it actually makes you colder.
Totally.
Because the jean fabric, like,
it gets cold.
Yeah.
It's
conducts
wet and
some
soggy.
heat. Anyway, so that's all I have to say about the weather. I guess I was trying to like turn my frown upside down because I don't mind cold weather at all. Rainy weather, I know that, if I live in California, I got to pray for rain. That's part
Yeah.
of our job. So I can never be like that mad at it, but
Sure.
I don't like living in it. I really don't.
You don't like
Everything's
living in the
soggy,
cold.
everything's
Oh, in the
muddy.
rain, yeah.
I'm wearing my galoshes as we record this just because I haven't taken them off because it's everywhere I go outside, it's just like puddles.
Yeah.
Like you
I'm not
really
a big fan
can't like
either.
you can't live without rubber shoes.
I know,
If
I
you
know.
did, your feet would just be soaking wet all the time.
I now have a variety of like that kind of boot. I mean, I have like the rain boot that's the actual galosh, and then like the ones that go up to like your knees, like when it's really bad. And then I've got like short ones for like when you don't need long ones. And then
Oh,
I have
see,
these work boots.
I got my knee highs all day.
Yeah. Knee highs
Because
all
that
day.
way, like, especially with Otis, when I'm walking him and like, I mean, sometimes we're
He'll
like,
get mud splattered on you and stuff.
oh, I mean, where
his
he's
paws.
just like, or there's like, we're going a certain way and it's like, there's no way around this huge puddle. Like we're going through it. Like,
Yeah, totally.
And it's like shin high. It's like, that would suck if I wasn't wearing rubber shoes up to my knees right now.
You should just wear head to toe rubber, Sarah. Just get
I
like
might,
a rubber
yeah.
onesie. But it's funny. I totally feel you. You and I grew up in a very similar climate. And I always was like envious of like, the distinct seasons of like the East Coast, just because it was so like romantic or something. And obviously because we weren't living in it. So it seemed really cool from a distance. And I lived in LA for so long, we did, that I did get tired of like the constant sunny days that it just blended, everything blended into the
I
next
didn't.
day.
I loved
And like,
it.
but it's funny now that I live up here, which by the way, you may be hearing the rain through my microphone because it is raining like cats and dogs right now. But
Wow.
just FYI. So I do love distinct seasons, but I kind of hate them now that I live in the country because winter doesn't end. Like I really miss the blendy sunny days of SoCal. Like I do. I'm like, F this. This is just like it because it's early January and we still have at least 2 months of winter. And I feel like we've had 6 months of winter already. I'm just like, okay, I'm done. I'm so done with the dark mornings, the dark evenings, my cold nose, my cold toes. I'm done. I'm done writing poems about being cold. Okay, Sarah?
Okay. I hear that. I hear that, Heather. I don't think we're gonna fix this today, but I know some of you out there, again, because I know you and I know where you live. Sort of, I know you're snickering at, because we're such sissies. But
We are sissies.
But again, it's all relative, and
It
it is what it is. Weather is going to happen whether you want it to or not.
And you know what else is going to happen whether you want it or not to, Sarah?
What's that?
Is hair. Hair is going to grow out of your head whether you like it or not. Or maybe it won't, whether you like it or not. But
Well,
according
I would
to-
like it to. The rest of my body, I could say sayonara, no problem.
Well,
But,
according to the New
yeah.
York Times, going brunette is like a new trend and better because it has an air of mystery. And I wanted to have a discussion, blonde on blonde, Sarah, fake blonde on fake blonde, Sarah, because we are brunettes. We're very light. We're light brown,
You and I
blonde,
have pretty
dirty
much
blonde.
the same real color hair.
Totally.
It's some might say mousy.
Yeah, a little bit
Mousy
mousy.
brown.
Most people have that though. I mean, that is
Not
very,
dark,
very common.
but not blonde. But I was blonde as a kid.
Exactly. And then it
Yeah.
goes darker as you get older. Well, I just have a little bone to pick with this article. So basically they're saying that like on TikTok, which is like, the most crazy popular platform with like Gen Z, they're basically saying that blonde hair is cheugy. And we talked about this word cheugy in a previous episode a while back. And it's this sort of new word. I don't know if it's in the actual dictionary now, but you can look it up on my favorite website, urbandictionary.com. It's essentially like the opposite of trendy. It's like it was stylish, but it's no longer in style.
Yeah, you're behind the times.
You're
type
behind the
thing.
times. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
and this could be fashion, like social media habits. It can be applied to a lot of things. But like this article, I'm just like, and they're talking specifically about famous celebrities, models, who are notoriously blonde, and they decided to go dark. And they're talking about why it's so great to go dark.
It's a wave of something.
It's a wave, exactly.
Yeah.
And I know it's very common to go darker in the winter. I get that. And I've tried it many times over. I've kind of done every color, but they called it like brunette hair empowerment. I thought you would find this very lol worthy, Sarah. And apparently, another reason that brunette is in right now is because Gen Z is, quote unquote, prioritizing their hair health, which I thought was hilarious. One chick said, I feel like a woodland creature, or like a Laura Ingalls Wilder girl.
I feel like we're talking like, yeah, I guess Gen Z is right. I don't remember what the gen after Gen Z is, because that's a thing now too.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, because like it's like Gen X, Millennials, Gen Z. Yeah, so that's right in the wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, Heather, I've been blonde, bottle blonde.
Mm-hmm.
I pay somebody to make me blonde for many years. And I, like you, have experimented with lots of colors
Yeah.
over the years, or at least like light, dark, red, that kind of thing. And I just feel like lighter works for me better.
Yeah,
and,
totally.
And part of that is, I mean, this is not just like, oh, I just feel like I'm a blonde. It's because I have gray hair.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's
just,
easier to cover up.
Anybody out there being like, gray hair, what's that about? Well, it shows up and you notice it, and you either don't care about it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't. And a lot of people actually look really good gray.
Yeah, they do.
I started to go gray when I was quite young, in my early 20s, were like the first time, I saw a couple gray hairs. It was only a little bit for a long time, and then it just kind of like, it sort of just poured out.
Yeah.
And, you can't reverse it. It just,
No. It just
don't buy anything
it's your
on TV
biology.
that tells you can. You can't reverse it. But at this point, to go brunette for me, I think like that might be kind of flattering. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit closer to like my natural, just sort of like skin and hair color anyway. But the gray, if that's why a lot of little old ladies are blonde, everybody. It's because
It's
they're
true.
actually gray, and it's just such a easier way to cover
Well, because
it.
it doesn't, when you have brown hair next to the gray, it makes it pop more. You can just
Oh
see
my
it more.
gosh.
It stands out.
And like when you see somebody with like bad roots and you're like, oh man, I wish I could
Yeah.
help.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, don't get me wrong. I love a brunette look on somebody. Like I have many people in my life that look so good as brunettes, and I love their hair, and I look at their shiny brown hair and I'm like, oh my God, it's so pretty. I just don't like it on me personally. So I'm not trying to criticize people who want to go brunette or whatever at all. Like I think
of
it looks
course
great
not.
on people.
No, and it truly is shinier.
It is. It's shiny,
It's
and that's
it's
like
looks
that
better.
healthy, shiny hair look that they're going for. But the last time I went brown, I remember specifically because my friend Morgan dyed my hair with a box of dye in a bathtub in Santa Monica. This was way back when, Sarah. You may remember. And I remember I felt like I had a sad, dirty carpet on my head. That's just how I felt. I didn't like it. I went, F that, blondes have more fun. I'm going blonde, I'm doing blonde. But it's funny because I think about this a lot because my boyfriend loves blondes. Like he's such a blonde guy. It's like you're either I just feel like
It's
you
like
have your
leg
preferences.
man.
Yeah, leg
you know?
man.
Yeah.
We
Guy
don't
who
have to
likes
go into all the other
blondes.
backside, front side, whatever. But like, yeah, no, that's
Front
a thing.
side. I like that front side on her. Woo.
Has anyone ever said that ever? I don't think so. But
Maybe
like,
not.
seriously, I think about that and I'm like, because I see him comment, I know the type he likes because we watch a lot of these kind of old movies or new, whatever. It doesn't even matter if it's an old movie, but like these classic blondes, these classic like Faye Dunaway or whoever it is, I know what he likes. And everyone's like, well, do you like so-and-so who's a brunette? Nah, she doesn't do it for me. And it's always a brunette. He just does not do it for him. And I just find it so fascinating.
Listen, we're all We are a series of stereotypes.
We are, for sure.
Humankind, and sometimes it's warranted, sometimes it is not. But yes, that's why we talk about having a type.
Yeah.
Whether you want to admit it or not, a lot of people do.
Yep. True that,
So-
Sarah. Yeah, no, it's true. And
so
it's funny.
that's
I mean,
that.
embrace what you like, front side, back side, top side, down side. I don't know. If you
Are
like
you a front
toes,
side man?
email us at hi@suchagoodday.com.
Please, yes. Tell us more. Really, it's for my, upcoming novel. Yeah. So listen, we talk a lot about wanting your feedback. hi@havesuchagoodday.com is our email address, and thanks to everybody who writes in. It's so fun to get your responses, and sometimes we spark a conversation.
Yeah.
That you have something to add, and that's the whole point of this. So thank you to everybody, and also big thanks to our patrons. Patreon.com/havesuchagoodday is where you can find out more about how to become a patron if you're not one already. To everybody who's already in our patronage, thank you so much. And a fun bonus if you can part with $5 or more per month, but $5 at the least, you can join our Discord where we're hanging out with all our fun folk, and it's really just a great group. And shout out to all our Discorders, whoop whoop. And join us if you'd like. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, and you know what? If you rate and review us on iTunes, make our posse bigger. And why wouldn't we want that? It really helps others find the show. And we haven't had an iTunes review in a minute. So if you have a word to say about our show, and hopefully it's not, hopefully it's upwards of 5 stars. We hope, we pray.
I mean, if it isn't, you can let us know why. But yes, if you, and that's a really good point, Heather. If for any reason money is tight. Certainly in my house it is. So we totally understand if Patreon is not what you can do right now. That's totally cool. We're still glad to have you. A review doesn't cost you a dime.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could think of us as like very cheap therapy. Like for us every week coming on this show.
Disclaimer,
doing the
we are
show-
not doctors.
Yeah, we are not doctors. Not certified in the least, but maybe hearing a couple fellow adults talk about adulting helps you kind of get through the day, helps cheer you up. I mean, we have heard from a lot of you guys and gals that we do cheer you up. Somehow listening to the show, whatever it is, us taking the piss out of something or another, talking about our favorite show, whatever it is, might sort of perk you up.
There are times where I'm like, I wonder if I made someone's day because my life is just worse than theirs.
At least I don't have Sarah Lane's life.
They were like, it really could be worse, Sarah. You're right.
That's a good
I'm
point.
just kidding. I'm actually, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about 2022 as well, Heather.
Good.
And in no small part by Gabrielle, who just became one of our new patrons. Hi, Gabrielle.
Oh my gosh.
Yay.
Gabby. I love that name, Gabby. I think we've talked about this before. I feel
Wait,
like this
Gabby
is
already
deja
was a
vu.
patron. She
Yeah,
just
I think
she bumped
upped
it up.
She bumped
Well,
it.
thanks
for the bump,
ups.
Gabby. Seriously.
Yeah,
and sorry
thanks
if you
Thanks for the bump. Would have meant something so different back in 2003.
Oh, yes.
Oh
This is
boy.
true.
Well, listen. Let's wrap this noise before things get too weird. Heather, this was fun as always.
Super fun.
Episode 130. Everybody, look at us, just growing up every day.
Sarah, will we make it to 400? I mean, I can't believe it.
I guess there's only one way to find out.
I know, we keep chugging along. We're forging on, Sarah. That's all we can do.
We are. Well, until next episode, thanks everybody for listening. Great to have you as always. We're thinking about you. We hope you're safe and warm and dry, or wet if you want to be. It's all good.
We're making snow angels. That sounds fun, too.
Do
With your
do what
Gore-Tex.
you like. Yeah.
Just wear your Gore-Tex and bring your sleeping bag to the movie theater. Seriously.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
Or a
I'm a
blanket.
faller, a sleeper in movie theaters anyway. Like, I would love to just bring a bed with me and just be like, I'm not mincing words here, people. I'll
Just
be
bring your
asleep in
camping
10
gear.
minutes.
Bring your stove and cook a meal.
That would be, yeah, do it all. All right, everybody, we will talk to you next week. I was about to say, we won't see you, but we'll be thinking about you romper room style.
Yes, we will.
and we'll do this all again next week.
Yeah. Peace and love.
Peace, love,
and peace out. Have such a good day.
goodbye.